Hi friends, welcome to Unacademy's UPSC CSE in English channel with Siddhi Bangard. And today we'll be discussing the highlights of FMs Speech after the PM announced 20 lakh crore package. So let's begin. I'll just briefly introduce myself. I'm Siddhi Bangard. Those who see my daily news analysis already know me. So welcome future civil servants, and I graduated from BIT Mesra, and I've also prepared for civil services, and I did my MBA in HR from XLRI Jamshedpur. I also have a cumulative work experience in teaching of 3 years, and I love to play cards, and I'm a fitness enthusiast. So I would also like to add on to certain other features that you get with Unacademy. Unacademy is hosting this video. So we'll have live classes and lectures like these. And if you subscribe to our courses, you get live tests and quizzes, which enhance your preparation for CSE because you get to know the fault lines in your preparation when you give so many tests. It helps you in revision. We also have structured courses wherein you know what topic will be taught on which day, so it really helps prepare you better for exam. And finally, you have unlimited access with one subscription. You have unlimited access to all our live and recorded courses and the upcoming courses. In the same way, I would also like to highlight the fees of our courses. So for UPSC, I would personally recommend that you take a 1 year subscription if you're preparing for Civil Services 2020, or if you're preparing for Civil Services 2021, you take a 2 year subscription. Our present costs are 40,000 rupees for a 1 year subscription. But if you use my code SBUS, Siddhi Bangar Academy Plus, so then you get a 10% off and your cost directly reduces by 4,000 to 36,000. So an entire 1 year course you get in 36,000. Also, if you end up taking a 24 month course or a 2 year course because you're preparing for 2021 CSE, then the original cost is 48,000. But if you again use my code SPUS, you get a 10% off and automatically translates to 43,200 rupees. So if you want to prepare better, because the hard work will be yours, the preparation will be yours, but we'll be there to support you throughout your journey. So let's begin with Finance Minister's highlights for today's uh, MSME sector. So what happened was yesterday PM announced 20 lakh crore package, and he said that we'll utilize it for the self-reliant mission or Aatmanirbhar Bharat. So today Nirmala Sitharaman's conference was there at 4 p.m. So each day they will be actually taking up one sector of the economy and announcing the economic initiatives that they'll be taking to give that sector a boost. But before that, we need to know why this and what is the reason behind it. So, okay, yesterday our Prime Minister defined the 5 pillars of Atmanirbhar Bharat. He said these are economy, infrastructure, system or techno-driven systems, a vibrant demography, and demand. He said that if we address these 4 or 5 things, we can actually become self-reliant. Self-reliant in terms of having very robust global supply chains. This is based on certain things that were done before the lockdown and certain things that were observed during the lockdown, which I will be taking you through now. Other than that, in his yesterday's speech, he announced the comprehensive package, which I already mentioned, which is equivalent to 10% of India's GDP, which is huge and is in line with what the other G20 economies have kept separate to give their economies a boost. And the package will be catering to various sections or sectors of the economy, like cottage industry, which employs uh, a huge part of our population. The MSMEs, both of these employ a huge part of our population. Laborers, middle class industries, and others. It was also said, so if you have read the secretary the finance secretary's interview was there in the newspaper as well as in news, where he said that now we'll have bold reforms. So it's not about the kind of fiscal space we'll have for a 20 lakh crore spend on our economy, but whether and where we should be actually spending that kind of money, the fiscal space will automatically be created. Now, uh, the PM also said that we'll go vocal for our local products. What he meant by that was that the national brands will be turned around to make international brands, because only if we have an international presence, we'll be able to build robust global supply chains. Coming to our FM's speech and the ground that she lay before proceeding to the MSME SOPs that were given out today, or you can say the economic boost that was provided to the MSME sector. The MSME sector stands for micro, small, and medium enterprises. So it was given at 4 p.m. today. She said that this whole package has come after a lot of deliberation with a lot of sectors. So it was already in the news that the sectors and industry agencies like the CII or the pressure groups like CII, FICCI were already deliberating on it, that how much of a stimulus package will be required to put the economy back on track, because we can't live like this forever. And by economic stimulus, I already took it in my daily newspaper session, but I would just repeat it for the sake of viewers when you hear. So we already had one economic stimulus package, which means that government infuses or government puts money in the market or in the hands of people. So there is spending, which again gives a positive feedback loop in form of people spending it on other economic activities, and hence the market or the economy gets a boost, or the GDP gets a boost. So we already had one such kind of fiscal stimulus right after the lockdown on 26th March, when 1.7 lakh crores or 0.35% of GDP was released. But up till now, all the economists, especially the economics who follow Keynesian economics, wherein they say that we have to actually decrease the demand shortfall to boost economic activities, they have been demanding a larger fiscal stimulus package. This is the second stimulus fiscal package which the government has which the government will be injecting into the economy. Now, why this? When this package was announced, it actually took the entire nation by shock. Why? Because it is a huge package. 20 lakh crore was not even expected by the industry's body, who always keep crying that the package is short of our expectations. So they said it's more than what we had imagined or what each sector would need. And then the government made it clear that it already includes the actions taken by RBI and the previous actions or the previous economic stimulus given by the government in the economy. Coming to the next part, she said that our FM said that uh, the groundwork for Aatmanirbhar Bharat was already laid in the activities we had been doing since our last term and our present term. For example, the direct benefits transfer, the Ayushman Bharat scheme, the Awas Yojana, the Ujjwala Yojana, where it had 8 crore beneficiaries, or 8 crore beneficiaries were given free cylinders for 3 months. This set the foundation for Aatmanirbhar Bharat, which was announced by PM yesterday at 8 p.m. Now, PM told that the PM sees opportunity even in distress. What the PM also said yesterday, that this is not the time to actually sit back and relax and look at the distress or the tragic situation happening, but it's an opportunity for us to become self-reliant and get our heads moving and get ourselves moving. So PM's vision was that we have to further increase ease of doing business, and for that compliance deadlines were also extended pre-lockdown, in and during the lockdown. Then DBT also impacted 41 crore bank accounts, where women received around 500 rupees cash in their accounts. This was almost a spending of 6,000 crores right before the lockdown. Then this Garib Kalyan Yojana is nothing but the fiscal stimulus of 1.7 lakh crore, which I already talked about, and 80 crore people were actually given free ration by the government in the same Garib Kalyan Yojana. RBI will also bring liquidity in the market, was said by Nirmala Sitharaman. But apart from that, RBI has already injected 1 lakh crore in the market by buying the bonds. So when RBI buys bonds, it actually gives money in the market. These are called open market operations, which inject liquidity into the market, and it will further be doing so. But she said she will not be getting into the details because that's the prerogative of the central bank. She also mentioned that even during the lockdown, the both the households and the industry had a benefit of 18,000 crores because it was returned or released by the income tax department. Claims up to 5 lakh were immediately processed, and hence the money was returned. In her speech, now this is the start of her presentation, so I would request everybody to be very alert. She said, we have actually taken 6 steps or 6 areas towards improving the MSME sector or the micro, small, and medium enterprises sector. First question, why MSME sector only? First, it generates a lot of employment. Second, a lot of people are actually employed in MSME sector. Third, it is a sector which is undergoing a lot of duress. Fourth, it produces a major part of our national output. So it was very necessary that we actually pay attention to this sector and give it a boost. So she said there are 2 measures which are related to Employee Provident Fund, which have been taken as a part of this initiative. 2 measures related to the housing finance corporations, the mutual fund institutions, and NBFCs or the non-banking finance companies. 1 measure related to the discoms or the power distribution companies. 1 measure related to all the contractors of the government agencies. 1 measure related to real estate or RERA, the real estate bill that came a few years ago. 2 measures related to the tax benefits or tax measures. So our first one is government announced. Now this is for the standard MSMEs, not the distressed ones or nothing, but they said that the government will be providing 3 lakh crores of collateral free loans for businesses, including MSMEs. Now what does collateral free means is that you don't have to put or you don't have to give a mortgage. So in case somebody doesn't have something to mortgage, they cannot take a loan. So it's a collateral free loan. It will be benefiting 45 lakh units so that they can resume their business activity and safeguard the employment in this sector. Again, the loans will have a 4-year tenure, and a moratorium of 12 months means that for the first year, you can, if it is not required, if you cannot pay the principal payment, you can pay it from the next year. It is not required to be paid in the first year itself. In fact, this is what also happens in B school fee payments also. The first year, just after you get placed, for the first year, you do not have to repay your loan so that you start earning and save some money and then you can start paying your loan. So it's something like that. This scheme can be availed till 31st October 2020. The second scheme, before we proceed, I would also like to mention that what we will be interested in remembering will be the amount of money injected, how it is injected, what is the intention, and how many people or units will be benefited by it. That is it. So we don't need to learn anything else, which is or the economic jargon. We simply need to understand the reason why government is spending in that particular sector, spending the way it is spending. The second part was giving 20,000 crores subordinate debt for stressed MSMEs. So while Ms. Sitaraman was taking the conference, she announced that to the standard MSMEs, we've already provided 3 lakh crores of collateral free loan. But now there are a lot of MSMEs which are stressed. That means that they have mounting NPAs or non-performing assets, which I already discussed in my daily newspaper analysis that what are NPAs. But for those people who have joined new, I would repeat it. NPAs mean that if an entity is unable to pay its principal amount that it was loaned or pay back the interest for 90 days, it becomes a non-performing asset or is classified as non-performing asset by the bank. So the government will provide 20,000 crores as subordinate debt. 2 lakh MSMEs will be benefited by it. by this program they will actually be able to clear their mounting NPAs. Okay, and it also says that government will provide a support of 4,000 crore to CGT MSE. CGT MSE is basically Credit Guarantee Fund Trust for micro and small enterprises. If you want, you can write it. It provides credit guarantee support to banks. Why the banks need a credit guarantee support? Because if they are giving out loans, then they need some form of credit guarantee. If the people are not being able to provide it, then the government is taking over that part. Next is then Ms. Sitaraman said that there is a third part to the MSMEs, that they are not only facing shortage of funds for raw materials or to keep the employment floating, they are also facing issue of equity, that they actually need equity infusion by the government. So the government has decided to do a 50,000 crore equity infusion for MSMEs through funds of funds. Now, funds of funds is what? Is basically there is a master fund and there are children funds. Okay, so basically, who invest in the market? So rather than you directly investing into the stocks or the markets, you hold, or the funds of funds holds a portfolio of the investment funds, which then invest into the market. That's why funds of funds. It's kind of a nested loop. So funds of funds with a corpus of 10,000 crores will be set up. Then there'll be daughter and mother funds to actually utilize the entire 50,000 crore of funds to help expand MSME in size as well as capacity. The basic reason why this is being done, equity infusion, or the government is directly putting into money, is not to provide with them with loans or cure their NPAs. It's simply because some MSMEs are not able to scale up, and we want them to scale up so that the productivity increase and more people are employed. That is the sole purpose of this initiative. So we want the MSME to increase in size as well as capacity. That's why we are setting up a corpus or funds of 10,000 crores, wherein this will be utilized to mother fund and daughter funds. It will, if and what happens, why do we want to actually get the MSMEs to scale up in size as well as capacity, is because we want to encourage the MSMEs to get listed so that they can raise money from the market itself. Okay. Next, now this is a very interesting development and it can be one of the questions for the prelims, and it's very easy to remember. So for a very long time, since these are micro, small and medium enterprises, they get certain benefits from the government in form of tax breaks, in form of labor laws, and a lot of other things, and in form of loans also. Like we just saw that MSME sector was the first one to be addressed to when the money just came in or when the package was announced. So what happens to these entities is they refuse to get big, because once you get bigger than a certain size, say in an investment limit or in a turnover, you cease to get the benefits. So actually, they, even though when they had the capacity to expand, they were not expanding, which was a huge loss to the economy and to the employment generation capabilities of the economy and these entities itself. So it was a long awaited reform, which the government has done now. They have increased the threshold limits for the entities to remain within the MSME definition. So to quote our FM's exact words, she said that we have increased the limits so that even when you grow and become big, you remain within the definition of the MSMEs and you keep receiving the benefits. It's kind of a nudge for them to increase in capacity and size. So what the government will do is they will revise the definition of MSMEs, and in the definition of MSMEs, basically, originally the MSMEs were defined by investment limits only. That is the amount that is already invested in the entity. Now it will be revised upwards. Plus the definition will include turnover also. And lastly, the distinction between manufacturing and service sector will be eliminated. What that means is So the investment limit, okay, uh, till which you remain a micro enterprise or small enterprise or medium enterprise was different for a manufacturing or a service sector. Usually, the investment limit for a service sector was very less. So the entities used to directly scale up, and they used to lose all the benefits. Now, the distinction between manufacturing and service sector are eliminated, which I'll take up in the next slide, so you'll have a better understanding. And for this, the government will also bring amendments to the law. Now, so the existing MSME classification is: for micro, the investment is less than 25 lakh. For small, the investment is less than 5 crore. And for medium, the investment is less than 10 crore. It's very easy to remember. Micro means very, very small. So 25 lakh is a good enough investment. Small and medium, 5 and 10 crores, just difference of 5 crores. And this was for manufacturing enterprises. As I already told you, that the limit to be classified as a micro entity was different for a manufacturing concern than for a service concern. Here, when it comes to the micro services enterprise, the investment, even if it is less than 10 lakh, okay, you will become a micro enterprise. It required, so that means more than that, or investment less than 10 lakh, you remain a micro enterprise, but more than 10 lakh, you start coming in the classification of smaller ones, and henceforth. So they never used to get as much benefit as the manufacturing enterprise, where the limits were little broader, 25 lakh to 5 crores and 5 crores to 10 crores. So here it was 25 lakh, here it was 10 lakh, here it was 5 crores in manufacturing enterprises for the small ones, and here the investment limit was 2 crores. Here in medium, the investment limit was 10 crores for manufacturing enterprises, and for the medium service enterprises, the investment limit was 5 crores. You don't need to remember the older figures. It was just for an explanation. What we need to remember henceforth is the revised MSME classification, which is: earlier, the only criteria was investment in plant machinery or equipment. Now, the criteria is investment plus annual turnover. Turnover is the sales that an organization is making. Okay, annual turnover, or the business that you do in an year. Again, the classification for micro now is, and now this has been merged. Okay, so manufacturing services both have the same limits. So for micro, now they have increased the limit because they wanted that the micro enterprises keep expanding and not remain till less than 25 lakhs. So if the investment is less than 1 crore and the turnover is less than 5 crore, you are a micro enterprise. Similar limits for small and medium are 10 to 50 and 20 to 100. So it is into 5, into 5 and into 5. Okay, into 10 and into 2 is how you remember it. So micro to small, 1 to 10 crores, small to medium, 20 crores. But when it comes to the investment and turnover, so it's into 5. If you have an investment limit of 1 crore, then the turnover should be 5 crore. If you have an investment limit of 10 crore, then the turnover should be 50 crores. If you have an investment limit of 20 crore, then the turnover should be 100 crore. It will be easier to remember this way. Coming to our next initiative that the government took was global tenders to be disallowed up to 200 crores. What happens is, whenever an organization is seeking certain parts or supply of certain raw materials, it issues a tender. And in the case of, especially, this is so when we're talking about organization here, it's for government procurement. So what happens here is, when the government wants to buy something, it issues a tender. Now, if for earlier, even for up to 200 crores, there used to be a global tender. That means even foreign companies could apply. And usually they had the better technology than our MSMEs, or they had lower rates due to higher technology or any other improvements that they had made in technology or manpower. So they used to actually crowd out our own MSMEs, which in normal times were actually ancillary units to our own procurement entities. So to reduce or to cull that unfair competition from foreign companies, government said that we will not have a global tender up to 200 crores so that the MSMEs can apply, they can win the tenders, and they'll get more work from the government procurement. Necessary amendments, the government will say that will make the necessary amendment to general financial rules. This is very important. Even our FM pointed out that it will provide a big boost to the Make in India initiative because we will be sourcing materials locally. And it will also help MSs to increase their business, which is a corollary to what we just discussed. Other interventions that were done for MSMEs are, so what is she rightly pointed out, our FM rightly pointed out, that presently, due to the coronavirus situation, the MSMEs actually cannot go out and exhibit. So there are, if you notice, sometimes there are exhibitions around the country in which the micro, small, and medium enterprises go and participate. For example, I've been to a lot of handicraft exhibition centers where handicrafts from across the state, across India, come together. So they said that since it cannot be done, so why not introduce an e-market? So it's a push for digitization and using digitization for actually making things accessible. So the government is trying to actually connect all the MSMEs to the e-market, which can be used for exhibitions. And second thing that the government said was, since these are the times when actually the MSMEs are facing a lot of shortage of money, the government will make sure that it releases all their receivables within 45 days. What do you mean by receivables? Say government and MSMEs had certain transactions. Now the government hasn't yet paid to the MSMEs. So it says now all the payment that is due, we will release within 45 days. Now, this is very important. It's regarding employee provident fund support that we already covered in the first slide, which said 6 steps. So there were two measures related to the employee provident fund support for business and workers. So just like what is happening in other countries where the government, say in Canada or in Vietnam, the government is taking the burden of paying the employees along with the employer. Say if the employer pays half of the amount, the government pays the other half. So a similar thing is happening in our employee provident fund support for business and workers for 3 more months. So when the lockdown started, the government said that okay, first we'll start with employee provident fund actually. So what happens is employee provident fund is basically related to labor laws, and 12% contribution to the employee provident fund is made by the employer, and the remaining 12% is made by the employee. So that deduction for provident fund is directly made from the salary of the employee. What is a provident fund? So when you retire, you can actually withdraw money from your provident fund. It's kind of a social security measure, and you can also withdraw money before that also, but there is a certain time limit after which you can, and a certain limit of money also which you can withdraw from the employee provident fund, but you get it at the superannuation. Now, so they said that we will pay this entire 24% contribution from our coffers. That is, the government will pay the 24% contribution to EPF or Employee Provident Fund. This scheme came under the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan package, which I already told you about, was announced post lockdown, or the 1.7 lakh crore package that was announced. So earlier this was for the salary months of March, April, and May, but since it's lockdown 4.0, so they've extended for another 3 months till August 2020. This initiative will provide a liquidity relief of 2,500 crores to 3.67 lakh establishments for 72 lakh employees. So almost approximately 4 lakh establishments will benefit from and 72 lakh employees will benefit because they'll have extra liquidity, and the amount will be almost 2500 crores. The second was, this contribution has also been reduced. Now, not just government is paying the 24% in some cases, the contribution percentage has also been reduced to business and workers for 3 months, leading to 6,750 crores of liquidity support in the system. That is, the workers and the business will get this much money, or they'll save this much money. In this, but where is it happening? So, in cases where there is statutory means legally, the companies are liable to pay provident fund. Okay, so the contribution has been reduced for both the employer and the employee. As I already mentioned, both employer and employee pay 12% each. So it has now been reduced to 10% each from the existing 12% for all the establishments covered by Employee Provident Fund Organization, or the EPF Act, for the next 3 months. That means till August 2020. However, when it comes to, but this is only for the private entities, when it comes to centrally governed PSUs and the state PSUs, right? They will continue to contribute 12% as employer contribution. So there is no reduction because it's a government owned entity. Next, we come to, now, lastly, how many establishments will it benefit? 6.5 lakh. In the previous scheme, it benefited almost 3.6 lakh establishments and 72 lakh employees. Here it benefits 6.5 lakh establishments and 4.3 crore employees. And finally, it will inject almost 675 crore equity. Now, so the total equity injected will be 6750 plus 2500. That makes it 9,250 crores of liquidity will be just injected by these two measures, right? Next, so our FM said that though we have actually done a lot for the NBFCs, HFCs, and MFIs, there's a lot of money that has been given to them, and already a lot of liquidity should be available in the market, but still they're finding it difficult to raise money in the debt markets. So they said that at this point of time where the entire economy is reeling from a lot of pressure, we will be providing them rupees 30,000 crore special liquidity scheme. And why is it called special liquidity scheme? Because it will not be direct cash infusion, but the government will be buying their investment grade debt papers of these entities, NBFCs, HFCs, and MFIs. Investment grade paper means your bonds or your debt papers which are high safety and high likelihood of returns. That is, they will be able to pay back, right? I do not know, but how many of you know about the credit rating scales? But I'll just give you an overview. So the credit rating starts from AAA to D. D is the credit rating given to entities where it is almost sure that they will default and we are just waiting for defaulting them, that they will be defaulting. This is the highest credit rating, means that it is very safe to lend to that person or entity. The amount will be returned, which is, it is a surety. It's like what you have blue chips in the stock market, that you're kind of sure that these companies will do well and the returns will be high, or there'll be a short return. So it's kind of that. Now, these securities with which the government of India will buy these debt papers will be fully guaranteed by the GOI, that in case if everything fails and these investment grade papers turn into trash, they will be guaranteed by the GOI, that the government of India assures that they'll be paying it. Why does the government want to do that? So that when the NBFCs, HFCs, MFIs go to raise money in the market has confidence in them because they are being backed by the, or fully being guaranteed by the government of India. Next is a partial credit guarantee scheme. The last one was a liquidity scheme, wherein you were actually infusing 30,000 crores. This is a partial credit guarantee scheme, wherein NBFCs, if they take credit, it will be partially guaranteed by the government, and 45,000 crore rupees has been kept aside for it. So there are certain NBFCs, HFCs, and MFIs. Okay, so these institutions, some of them might have a lower credit rating, which means they would require, if they require fresh lending, okay, then they are not able to do it because of the low credit rating. Nobody is actually willing to give them money. So right now there is already an existing partial credit guarantee scheme being run. That's why this scheme has been called partial credit guarantee scheme 2.0. And the existing scheme covers borrowings such as primary issuance of bonds and commercial paper. CPs is commercial papers. They are again a kind of bonds. There are very minute differences, which I'll be covering in the economy section. And they're both on the liability sides of the balance sheet. So government is already doing that. But in this case, when you are giving a partial credit, that means if there are certain losses, then 20% of the loss will be borne by the guarantor, that is the Government of India, because the Government of India is giving a partial credit guarantee. This guarantee will be provided for AA paper, as we already discussed. The ratings are from AAA, then you have AA, then you have A, then you have BBB, then you have BB, then you have B, C, and D. This is the rating scale. So AA grade papers are also relatively safe, and they give assured returns, or we know that the people will be able to pay back. But unrated paper, which means that they are below investment grade, that is, we do not know if the money will come back. So even for both these, the government is actually enabling partial credit guarantee scheme, which means the PCGS 2.0 is applicable to AA paper and below, and unrated paper also. This scheme will result in a liquidity of 45,000 crores, which is a huge amount. So 30,000 crores in the previous slide and 45,000 crores here. So that makes it almost 75,000 crores. We can remember this ballpark figure. Now, here our FM said that the reason we want to infuse a liquidity of 90,000 crore. Now, this was the major chunk of money in today's press conference when they were allocating money to different areas. So this occupied a major chunk, 90,000 rupees, 90,000 crore rupees to the discoms. The liquidity, proper liquidity injection means money will be given. Why? She said that right now we are a power surplus country. So that means the power generation companies actually did a very good job. But what is happening right now is, due to the present situation, they're actually not being paid, and they are under huge debts and loans, and they are not getting their receivables. Receivables by mean that the government hasn't paid them for generation of electricity. So what they'll do is, the Power Finance Corporation will infuse liquidity of 90,000 crores to pay the discoms, which will pay the power generation companies, so that they get the receivables back and can invest money again, and they are not under debt, or do not have to pay loans, or do not have to pay interest on the loans that they have taken. They can use this money to pay their interest payments. Okay, finally, there was one more important point here. Central public sector generation companies will also be, the public generation companies will also give rebate to discoms or the distribution companies. Discoms are electricity distribution companies. So there is one company which generates power. There is another one that actually distributes power. See, these lines are set up by discoms. So it will give the rebate to power distribution companies, which will again be passed on to final consumers, especially the industries, because the transmission cost is actually recovered by the final consumers. Relief to contractors. So, as I already mentioned, that there are a lot of central agencies like railways, Ministry of Road Transport, Highways, Central Public Works Department that utilize the service of contractors. Okay, we do not have everybody on road, so there are contractors who work. So now, due to 3 months already being wasted in Corona, no work has been able to be done because you cannot actually congregate a lot of people. So government has said that there will be an immediate extension of up to 6 months for these contractors. We will not be penalizing them. Okay, and we will extend the concession period in the PPP contracts. Otherwise, the penalty clause kicks in. The government has also asked these agencies to partially release bank guarantees. Now, what are bank guarantees? It's basically uh, the the person who has to pay. The agencies those have to pay to the contractors. They give a bank guarantee that after this you can give loan to this person because we'll be paying this person after the work gets done. So the government is saying that right now, please release the bank guarantees so that these people have liquidity to actually take the work forward when the work starts and to ease the cash flows. Otherwise, they will have to take loans and then they'll have to get entangled into loan repayments for no fault of theirs. Lastly, so this is for real estate extension of registration and completion date of real estate projects under RERA. RERA is an act for real estate. Uh, what happens here is that first, in the agreements, the authorities, the regulatory authorities from Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs will be will be pulling in the clause of force majeure. Force majeure means an unpredictable incident which is forbidding the either party, one of the parties, to actually not being able to comply with their terms of their contract. Okay, so the force majeure clause is always there. It's a part of the Contract Act of 1872. It's one of the clauses which is always there. So this will kick in. They have asked them to kick in this clause under RERA because all the registration completion dates or all the real estate projects are now controlled by this act. Then they've also asked to extend the registration and completion dates of all the real estate projects by automatically by suo motu here means automatically by 6 months or suo motu here means by self by 6 months, which were actually expiring on or after 25th March 2020 because post then lockdown kicked in. So it's not their fault that they couldn't actually complete it or register it. So we should give them an extended period of 6 months. Also, fresh projects registration certificates should be issued automatically with revised timelines, keeping in mind the coronavirus situation and extend the timelines for various statutory compliances. The government had already done it before also. Say when there were certain project deadlines or tax filing deadlines, for example, uh, you have to fill the tax latest by 31st March for a year. The deadline was extended to 31st July. So similar deadline extension has to be given for meeting statutory compliances to the real estate projects. Last is the tax measures as our honorable FM talked about. So all of you who are salaried or have worked somewhere know that there's a tax reduction at source or tax collection at source. Okay, so now say if those rates at which these tax reduction or tax collection was made has been decreased by 25% of the existing rate. So that if it was 100% earlier, it will be decreased by 25%. Okay, so it will become 75%. Now, this will be applicable to all contracts, professional fees, interest, rent payments, dividends, commission, brokerage, everything will be eligible for this reduced rate of tax deduction at source. It will be applicable from, it will kick in right from tomorrow, that is 14th May, till the next 31st March 2021. It will infuse a liquidity of 50,000 crores, which is a huge amount, which can be directly freed by this small measure of tax reduction at source or tax selection at source. Okay, so folks, this is about it. This brings us to the end of our presentation, and I would like to say that hope this video was useful to you and you were able to understand the focus of the government. So today, one sector was discussed, which was MSME, or the micro, small, and medium enterprises. Our finance minister had said that daily she'll take press conferences, and for each sector, they will come up with economic initiatives to actually make the self reliant mission of our country a reality. So, till then, I wish you all the very best. And if you have liked the video, please subscribe to the video. Please hit the bell notification for further notifications. And if you like the way I presented, or if you did not like something, please write it in the comments section that what else would you want me to do so that the video quality or the content quality increases. Till then, thank you to all of you for watching, and that is about it.